Today, Precarious plays
Lost Kingdoms 2. I've got some bad news.
Yeah.
I assumed that this place was going to work like other areas that have multiple floors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that there's at least one breakpoint.
Yeah.
But right now it's just giving me the opportunity to start from level 1.
Ooh.
What I think we'll do is, after this point, we'll only show each floor one time.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So if at some point, like, we have to take a break, if we don't have time to do 20 floors, or if at some point we get knocked out,
We won't walk back. We won't show the walk back
yeah.
from the knockback. Oh, that guy's knife is real cool. Wish he'd stop using it in such a narrow corridor. I feel like that's a tactic that somebody named Rosma likes to use.
It's a good tactic.
It is a good tactic. Often we've talked about how I haven't played Dark Souls despite my respect for it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that if I ever play Dark Souls, one of the things that I'm going to have to get a handle on is tamping down my exuberance and excitement. It's a very, in order to play Dark Souls well, you have to be very mindful of everything that you're doing and why and what you expect and where the sword is going to go and what your environment is and who you're fighting. It's a very mindful game. So, spray and pray there's not even anything to really, spray with. It doesn't enter into the equation.
Yeah, I would say that by my estimation, the first one really is not actually... The difficulty is overblown. It's sort of overhyped.
Yeah.
Really, the difficulty, it's just asking people to behave in a way that they don't usually. Whenever they're playing... Whenever they sit down to play a game, they just want to play a thing.
They just want to cut loose and just be like, whoa! And Dark Souls is not like that sound effect. Any version of that sound effect plus Dark Souls is just an inaccurate description.
Right.
Unless it's creepy and slightly clown-like, and then maybe because of the fear, but no, I don't even think that would work.
But it doesn't... The later ones, I think that they actually started to buy more into that hype.
Yeah, and just make it really, really hard.
Yeah, honestly, after it's all said and done, I would say play Dark Souls.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe watch a little bit of Dark Souls 2, so you get the idea, get the gist of the narrative.
Yeah.
That they made there. And then maybe play 3, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't bother with Bloodborne or playing very much of Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, Bloodborne was really rough.
In general, and especially in your case, because you're sort of on edge about the whole experience.
Oh,
anyway.
Yeah, there is something about that universe that just sets me... It puts my mind in a state of disease. It's not comfortable for me to be there. Speaking of which, this game, how it handles, how it plays, does it feel like you have to be in the same frame of mind to play this game as you do to play Dark Souls successfully? I mean, it does not seem nearly as harsh in any way.
Oh, no. I think it is.
Yeah?
I don't know. This title does not have as many sudden death scenarios.
Yeah.
Actually, here's a great point of comparison. If you fall into a body of water or off a cliff, in this game, I think there's a very small penalty, if any at all. In Dark Souls, that means you're going back to the bonfire.
Right. So, I mean, Dark Souls is a lot more...
It has a greater number of instant death scenarios. So that lends itself to... If you imagine like a little line graph of frustration or challenge, there will be a larger number of sudden spikes, I would say, in Dark Souls.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of the time, that stuff is fairly avoidable. I think that Dark Souls is probably at its worst whenever it combines tough or large enemies with environments that allow for instant death.
Yeah.
The Iron Golem... Is it just called the Iron Golem? The Golem on top of Sen's Fortress springs to mind immediately, because it's not a terribly challenging boss, except for the fact that if it hits you in the right way at the right time, it can kill you immediately. And there's the problem that it's so huge that avoiding it, sometimes it feels a little like luck has more to do with it than skill.
Yeah, and that's no fun. That's probably not what you really want. I mean, it's decidedly not what it feels like this game and Dark Souls is trying to get after.
Yeah, and I think that part of the problem is that there's actually a better example. One of the first bosses provides a better example of that kind of scenario that feels more fair. The Taurus Demon, you fight it on a, what's it called? The top surface of a castle wall. Is it parapet? That doesn't seem right.
I think the parapet...
It's the
palisade?
I want to say that it's a B word, but the only word I can think of right now is barracks, and that's not right.
I can't think of it right now. I can't think of it right now either. But yeah, the top edge of the wall of a castle.
So you fight
the roof.
You fight it there, and some of the wall is broken. And that, it's like, okay, the Taurus Demon is big and it has large knockback, but someone could reasonably look at that and go, oh wait, there should never be a tic-tac-toe scenario where it is Taurus Demon, me, that cliff.
Yeah.
That is a recipe for disaster. And then you have options to get around that scenario. So you can put your back to the unbroken portion of the wall, or you can climb the ladder and fight it in the little arena that they have on top of a tower.
Yeah, but it does give you choices. It's funny, everyone talks about choices in like role-playing games. Like, what about player choice? And it's funny, but Dark Souls is constantly presenting player choice. Maybe not in the story way, but it is constantly providing you with an environment and tools that people will deal with differently and often in unique ways.
What the heck? That's not...
What is that?
Why? Oh, damn.
What?
Got me with my own thing.
What is it?
Decoy action. I was like, why is my crystal rose firing off in a dumb direction? And I thought, I was inclined to be like, glitch, error, broken, bad game. And it shows me.
Yeah. So, despite the fact that this game is slightly less harsh as far as taking you all the way back to a save point whenever you fail.
Oh, no, wait. This is important.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Oh.
Dark Souls actually provides a lot of really great role-playing potential in along a lot of different axes, you know? There's like the sort of surface level stuff, costuming basically.
Yeah.
It's grisly to think about, but if you don't mind doing a murder, you can often get a character's outfit and wear it and then play online. Either you're basically like posing as an invader or a helper as that character. It's especially sad to think about how many people like go and murder Solaire so they can be Solaire in multiplayer.
That hurts my feelings. But no, what you're talking about is totally right. And
not just that though. There's also so here is an example. You can... I'm trying to think of an example where there isn't like a profound mechanical effect, so it just feels like raw role-playing, you know? Here's an okay example. It's, it requires a little bit of meta knowledge, you know? Like you have to sort of see outside your character to take advantage of it, but once you realize that characters usually go hollow once they run out of stuff to give you, you can start to develop this sense that like it walks a fine line between metagame knowledge that you're exploiting and just your character's understanding of the world, right? But whenever you realize that it's like that purposelessness that drives a lot of characters to become hollow, if you don't want a character to go hollow, you can just leave them like one thing to do for you, and they're fine. From your perception, by the end of the game, where presumably the world has changed pretty dramatically because you've done something with like the concept of fire.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You've altered the world. Dang, did I use up all of my crystal roses already? Okay, well that's fine because I'll just do this. I think probably the best example that I have, there's a very sweet priestess who, once you've bought all of her spells, eventually either you find her dead or you find her hollow. But if you just leave her one, like that feels like a metagame consideration where it's like, oh, I'm not going to buy her last spell so that way she'll just hang out in the chapel. But then if you think about it, it's like I can imagine my character saying like, don't worry, I'll come back for your last scroll some other time. And then I can see that character just sort of being like, cool, okay, let me know. Get back to me. See you later. And then just sort of waiting. And that's kind of sad in its own way, but maybe it's better than just letting her wander off to die.